So I didn't really think I'd have to start off this video by talking about a Marc Bergevin press conference, but hey, guess what the man decided to do right before I started recording this video? An emergency press conference to kick off the day over here. Why? Well, because the Montreal Canadiens, as we noted in the previous video, are 0-4-0. They have not gotten a single point out of 4 games, and they've only scored 3 goals in the process. Chris Weidman has 1, Jonathan Drouin has 2, and everybody else has 0. This Canadiens team is looking pretty rough right now, and I've seen a lot of people going out there talking about how the Canadiens made a deal with the devil to go to the Stanley Cup Finals last season, and it would have cost them a good chunk of their 2021-2022. Hey, do you want to beat the Leafs? You can beat the Leafs for the very low price of losing however many games you lose at the start of the 21-22 season. How about it, Mark? And he goes out there and is like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And I guess that's kind of why the Canadiens went out there and made it to the finals. Okay, I'm just joking. But when it comes to the Canadiens, they definitely have not been playing well. And when it comes to last night's game against the San Jose Sharks, we had ourselves what was a performance that I wasn't really watching, but I was kind of just tuning into and just keeping up with because there was a Vancouver Canucks game going on at the same time. And as the notifications started popping into my phone, okay, Timo Meier 1-0, Jonathan Dahlen 2-0, we'll talk about him a little bit more by the way, and then 3-0 and 4-0 and 5-0, Erik Karlsson, Brendan Gallagher, then he scores a goal. What's going on over here? The Montreal Canadiens have just absolutely been abysmal when it comes to their strategies on the ice, what they're using to try to create offense, and just what they're used to. Because even on moments where you would expect the Canadiens to go out there and do well, like on the power play, for example, this team is relying on the good old Shea Weber shot to go out there and get offense because they're sending it back to the blue line and looking for that one-timer. Or not even just one-timer, but the big booming slap shot, that in which Petrie does not have. This team is trying to go out there with that same mentality, and other teams are catching on. It's not really working all too well. You're not trying to create offense through the wingers, which are so powerful on this team. Mike Hoffman, Tyler Toffoli, Cole Caulfield, these guys are supposed to be game-changing, play-driving wingers. It's just not going right, and as we noted, Cole Caulfield has 0 points in 4 games played, giving him a very big disadvantage in the early standings of the Calder race. But when it comes to the guy that scored 2 goals to kick off this game over here, it was actually 2, not 1, because the Timo Meier goal was then later assessed to him. Let's talk about Jonathan Dahlen, or as the Swedish commentators in the Allsvenskan and the SHL would say, Jonathan Dahlen, because this is a guy that, honestly, like, the fact that he is doing so well is kind of, it's kind of vindicating to me personally, because remembering Jonathan Dahlen and what he was for the Vancouver Canucks organization. Yes, he was a Vancouver Canuck who was here in the system. They acquired him in the Burrows trade, and he eventually did not work out, mostly because of deployment issues and development issues that presented itself with the Utica Comets in terms of Dahlen wanting to play on the NHL squad. It wasn't really the best transition from AHL to NHL for Dahlen, and as a result, he was then traded to the San Jose Sharks for Linus Karlsson, who is a prospect still in the Vancouver system today. Or is he even still in the system? I don't even know if they still have his rights. But for Dahlen, he's a guy that went back over to the Allsvenskan, did not play AHL hockey afterwards because he just wanted to go back and have his love for hockey reignited, which is what he did back home. So many points, so many goals, displaying that he was absolutely above and beyond the Allsvenskan level the past few years, and now that he's back in the NHL, guess what? They stuck him on the line with Timo Meier, and he's got 2 goals against the Montreal Canadiens. One of them was a little bounce out in front. It was Meier with the shot. It went through him. Or I think it went through 5-hole, something like that, and it touched him on the way to the net. And then his second goal, just a few minutes later, was a rebound chance on the rush. It was a 2-on-1 low shot rebound. Dahlen out in front gets his first 2 NHL goals, and a lot of Canucks fans were looking at this saying, man, our team isn't scoring too many goals right now. How does it feel to have a player who can actually score goals? That must be great. And it's totally not stinging a little bit more because we used to have Dahlen and we just didn't really use him right in our system and he got frustrated and it's why they seem to have traded him. Yeah, the entire Dahlen trade saga from 2 years ago was so weird, but either way, he is now a San Jose Shark full-time, he's playing with Meyer and he's gotten himself some offense, so good for him. Really good for him. I know a lot of Sharks fans are probably going to be like, yeah, I told you so. Thanks for the guy, Vancouver. And I'm just going to say, yeah, you're welcome. I would have liked to see him with Elias Pettersson because they were really good friends and they were teammates before. But some things aren't meant to be, I guess. And another thing that's not meant to be is the Montreal Canadiens and the way that they've been playing their offense so far. The fact that you only have one forward with a goal in 4 games kind of says it all. Jonathan Drouin, hey, he's broken the mold over here. Talk about 2 goals last season, how about 2 goals in 4 games played. The only player to actually get a goal up on the forward side of things. Chris Weidman being the only defenseman with a goal either isn't necessarily great too. But when it comes to the emergency press conference that Marc Bergevin went out there and did, here are a few of the quotes from Twitter. This is from Renaud Lavoie and NHL Watcher. Marc Bergevin says that despite the way the Canadiens have been playing so far, he does not need to make a trade, or at least so he feels. So I guess that's just kind of confirmation that the Canadiens are going to try to stick it out with who they have right now. We did see the lineup changes earlier in today's practice where the Savard and Sherratt pairing was actually broken up, so very good to see that. David Savard, man. I know I love Savards in Montreal, but this guy has not been good so far, especially not as good as a Stanley Cup champion title would indicate. But when it comes to the trade side, it does not look like Bergevin's going to go out there and do anything. He says he does not like the Canadiens' puck support, though. And he says that the Sharks scored their very first goal off of Jonathan Dahlen's leg after they got a little bit tight, after the Canadiens did. That's what he's trying to say. He also says that he controls all the strings and that he's still in charge, despite being in the last year of his contract. He adds that in a perfect world, he would like to be back in Montreal next season. Now, I don't really know if that's going to happen. It's all lip service at the end of the day. We all know that NHL GMs go out there and say the right things all the time when they're in precarious situations, and until the situation is over, that's kind of when they actually start to reveal what they're really thinking. He mentions he wants to be back with the Canadiens. He is still in control of this team. Same tweet from Renaud Lavoie. Bergevin said he's calling a press conference today in Montreal because it's a different market, and at times tensions are high, and he felt it was important to show his support, share his concerns, and take questions from the media as well. He also talks about Shea Weber and how he has not had surgery on his ankle because they don't think it would change much. Bergevin reiterates that he is not expected to play this season, and it's a long shot that Weber will ever return. So, honestly, I mean, the only thing that comes into my mind when I read that tweet is Nick Kypreos, because remember when Kypreos had that piece of news about Weber potentially having to retire because of some health complications? I think it was a few years ago, and everybody said that Kypreos was wrong because Weber started playing a little bit afterwards. Well, maybe this is what he was referring to. Who really knows? Probably is. I mean, there isn't really anything else that I think fits the category of what Kypreos was discussing back in that tweet, but either way, Shea Weber does not look like he's going to play this season, so there's the update on him. But when it comes to the Canadiens, it's honestly really tough to, label what's going on with this team, you know? I get it, a lot of people think, oh, Lego, you're a hockey YouTuber, so you know a lot about hockey, or maybe you do. I don't really know if you actually do, you just pretend you do. But what exactly is going wrong? What do the Canadiens need to do? And I don't know. This is the same kind of problem that we had last season under Claude Julien. Is it a coaching thing? Is it a Dominique Ducharme, oh, he just re-signed for 3 years kind of thing? Or is this just Montreal being Montreal? Is there something wrong with the stars of this team? Well, maybe. Only one of them's got a goal right now. So there's so much going wrong with this team. The defense hasn't looked great at all either. It's good that they broke up that Savard and Sherratt pairing, as I said, but there's just so many things that they need to iron out that I don't even know where to begin. Defensive consistency, not collapsing inwards and allowing the opposite team to run circles around you. What about the offense? This team is not creative offensively. They're not getting anything done. On the power play, there's no offensive creativity from the wingers. They're just getting it back to the top of the umbrella for the defenseman to shoot it on goal, and every other team is expecting that because that's what Montreal has been known for. Despite the fact that they don't have Shea Weber anymore, there's so much going on with this team, and at the end of the day, if there's anybody that's going to go out there and, like, start punishing the Canadiens for what it is that they're doing, I'm happy that Jonathan Dahlen is the guy, because, yeah, I'm part of the Dahlen fan club if you haven't already noticed. I wanted to see this guy do well, just like I wanted to see Nikolai Goldobin and Lyndon Vey and all the other Vancouver Canuck young guys that they acquired over the past half-decade do well as well. Unfortunately, none of them really worked out except for the draft picks like Höglander and Podkolzin, I guess. Either way, though, talk to me in the comments what do you think about the Canadiens. I hope you enjoyed this Trolls 99. And bye.